I know. We're back at 8:39. Kerry Washington's no stranger to scandalous roles. Her latest in the new movie on HBO called Confirmation is law professor Anita Hill, whose claims of sexual harassment against Clarence Thomas nearly derailed his Supreme Court nomination.
Why in God's name would you ever speak to a man like that the rest of your life?
I have suggested that I was afraid of retaliation. I was afraid of damage to my professional life. I believe that you have to understand that this kind of response is not atypical, and I can't explain it.
Kerry Washington, good morning. Nice to see you. You were 14 years old, 1991.
That's right.
I'm not supposed to do that.
Fine.
People do the math
Proud
there.
of my
But
age.
when this all played out in our living rooms,
That's right.
basically, how aware as a teenage young lady were you of this?
I think because I was 14, most of my memories are kind of through the lens of my parents' experience, which for me was really memorable because my dad was engaging with the unfolding of the hearings from the perspective of an African-American man who was watching this black man have his reputation and his career ripped from him in a very public way. And so he had very strong feelings about it. And my mother had very strong feelings as a professional African-American woman. So whereas we were always on the same page in my house about politics, it was one of the few times that I saw them at odds, and I felt like I really understood both perspectives.
So did they sit down and did you guys talk about this over the dinner table?
I grew up in a household where we always talked about politics and community and issues like that. But this was really heated. This was different. There was a lot of emotion in these conversations.
In addition to playing Anita Hill, you're the executive producer of this, and this is one of your first real big projects. Why this one?
You know, I think because it held such a memory from my childhood and it was my first experience of kind of understanding intersectionality as a person of color and as a woman and trying to wrap my head around those identity politics. But I think also I saw the documentary Anita a few years ago. And I love the documentary, but I wanted to know more. I wanted to peel back the layers of the onion, find out more, not only about Anita, but I wanted to know more about Joe Biden and what he was feeling. I wanted to know more about Clarence Thomas and what he was feeling.
You know, it seems nothing these days is without controversy, and there's some backlash on this. Some of the people who were involved in the actual historical event are saying, wait a minute, this is an over-dramatized version. It's not how I remember it. Others are saying this is political propaganda to support Anita Hill and even support Hillary Clinton's run for the White House.
Oh, to be doing both at the same time.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I mean, for me, I've always felt like it's important for me to not hold back on my political beliefs because of what I do for a living. I don't think that I should have to be any less of an American.
But were you trying to make a political statement in this?
No. I mean, for me, what we tried to do, and it was extraordinarily challenging to really go out and do as much research from all perspectives as we could. We talked to a lot of people on both sides of the aisle. We did an enormous amount of research. I myself read both Clarence Thomas's memoir as well as Anita Hill's memoir. I mean, and read about every other book about the hearing at the time. We really wanted to make a film, and I think when you see the film, you can see that this is a film about very complicated people during a very complicated time, and you are actually pulled in the direction of a lot of the characters. A lot of the backlash is actually coming from people who haven't seen the film.
Yeah, they haven't seen it yet, and they'll have to wait a couple of weeks before they do. Can I change subjects with an axe? Do you mind that?
Sure.
So we've talked about you on the show the other day in this Adweek magazine cover that you looked at it and said, who is that? It's supposed to be me, and you didn't recognize. What was your big complaint about it?
Honestly, it wasn't. My big complaint was that it felt altered in general. It wasn't that there was something specific. It was the feeling of looking at something and knowing that it had been altered. I was really proud of the interview and really proud of the article. It talks a lot about my professional relationships and how hard I've worked to build those relationships with those brands. And I was really excited about the article. When I saw the cover, I was taken aback. So I just felt like in order for me to promote the magazine, which I wanted to do because I think the article's great, I had to at least address, because I knew other people would notice that it didn't quite look like me.
We were talking before the segment. I said, when they airbrush me in pictures, I'm all for it.
It's not always bad. It's not, you know, a wrinkle here, a wrinkle there, you know.
But you have to recognize it, and it has to be reality. It's great to see you, Kerry.
Thank you.
What a pleasure. I want to tell people
I meant wrinkle on clothes, by the way. Wrinkles on faces are beautiful.
Exactly right. I'm glad you got that in at the end. Confirmation premieres April 16th on HBO.
Hello, Today fans. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking that button down there and click on any of the videos over here. to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives.